This side Rahul Magan here is the Chief Executive Officer of Treasury Consulting LLP, and today we would be covering another topic in our virtual CFO services, which is SAP Analytics. Basically what we are trying to cover, we are covering about ERP Analytics, which is Enterprise Resource Planning Analytics. But in ERP, this video would predominantly be targeting about SAP, not about Oracle. Like in the last video, we had a word about what important role SAP is playing in any organization, and at the same time, if a single fraud would have happened in your ERP, how much dent that could have happened in your books. Now in this we would be covering about the analytics. Now one thing is fraud. Somebody sharing the user ID password, somebody who was working in a production department but now moved to invention department, and now his roles in the ERP has not been changed, his rights in the ERP has not been changed. On the contrary, he was working in the invention department or R&D department, and he moved from R&D department to say sales department, but his roles regarding R&D has not been changed. So such kind of frauds often happen, and if we are going in a lot of organizations, giving a lot of training program, doing a lot of implementation about the SAP services, and we often get an excuse that they were quite also not aware that when was the last time they had looked into the system and seriously trying and fight out, boss, when was the last time all the user IDs were aligned with their roles. Another thing is analytics. The big companies like Apple, Accenture, Sapient, Cognizant, the big banks who are now coming on the blockchain like Goldman Sachs and others, they are the one who are predominantly sitting on a humongous amount of data. I would say that these humongous is something disrespect to them. Like Goldman Sachs itself is sharing on so much data that I think it's going to be multiple times. Then we need to add a lot of banks across the globe, and then we will somehow equate the data on which the Goldman Sachs is sitting. But how do they run? One kind of fraud is somebody doing that. One kind of fraud is the ghost vendor, the fake account receivable which is created in the system, the fake account payable which is created in the system, and the list is endless. How the organization who have either SAP or Oracle, although this video is more focusing about SAP, how the organization will take care of that. This is how this video will stand at. First of all, we need to understand there are two kind of systems which we have in any ERP. One is production system and one is test instances. In a production system, it's a live system. So your production will never stop. Example, let's take an example of ExxonMobil, the largest petrochemical company of this globe. Now ExxonMobil, all 24/7 the work is happening. Some or other form of import is happening, some deliverables are coming, petroleum production is going on, invoicing is going on, things are running 24/7, they're not stopping. This is how it is happening. This is happening in SAP. If you stop the production system, then they are gone. So anything they have to do in the production system, they have to create a replica. We don't use the word replica technically, we use a word which is test instance. So what they are going to be doing at a point of time, say example today 22nd October 2017, which is roughly 5 p.m. IST, they are going to create a copy of that, and of course the big the data is, the big the time it would be taking to copy. There are organizations whereby a test instance is taking more than 7 to 8 weeks to copy, not days. I don't want to name the organization. We have organizations across the globe who I know because of the personal relation, because of the professional relationship, it takes almost 8 weeks for them to create a test instance. And what they do in that, at every quarter they create a test instance. So it takes almost 2 months for them to create a test instance. Such amount of data they are sitting. So whenever you talk about analytics, it could have been performed on the test instance, it could have been performed on the production instance. But we never recommend production instance, the test instance. The reason here is, if you do on the test instance, it's not going to give you the accurate result but you will get in the production system. Henceforth, we always recommend people, those who wanted to run the analytics, they should always do on the production system. Now here we go. You have SAP production system, Now we have taken only 4 modules here, not much, which is FICO, Financial Accounting, Material, Basis, the coding part, and the enterprise users. We have taken few companies into consideration. Apple, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, ExxonMobil, Petronas, Petrobras, China Mobile, GE, General Electric, and Goldman Sachs. All these companies are very known to most of the people, those who are watching this video, and all these companies are sitting on a humongous amount of data. You just believe it. They're sitting on a humongous amount of data. Example, let me take few companies. China Mobile. They claim that they have 400 million users only in China. ExxonMobil, the largest petrochemical company of this globe. Apple, Google, Microsoft, Facebook. You name the country in which they are not doing the business, except few countries in this globe which are not subject to business. You just name it. They are doing business everywhere. This is how these level of big companies are. 24/7 their production systems are running. Now what they do, they have a server. In fact, they do not have a server. They have a series of server. Take an example of a YouTube. According to YouTube, every minute more than 400 GB of data is entering into the YouTube. So if this video is approximately 10 minutes or 10 minutes odd video, it means that 4000 GB, which is approximately 4 TB of data, has been fed up into the YouTube. And YouTube will never say no as far as the data is concerned. So they have terabytes of database, and they are not relying on one server, they are relying on servers of servers. So there is a huge server base which they have. What they do, they will create a placeholder on the server. What do you mean by placeholder? Placeholder is nothing but a place whereby you will put up the test instance, and at the same time you create a space. So example, let's take an example of LinkedIn. YouTube would be a very big example. Assuming LinkedIn would have 50 terabytes of server, assuming the test instance which they are creating is 10 terabyte. So the placeholder would equals to 10 terabytes plus 1 terabyte, which is equals to 11 terabyte. Why 1 terabyte? The reports which these analytical softwares will compute, and they need some space to store it. Now this test instance has to be replicated on a periodic basis. So example, LinkedIn is having a policy to create a test instance at every monthly basis. YouTube is having a policy to create a quarterly basis, and so on and so forth. All these companies are big companies. They have a humongous amount of data, but that doesn't mean that we don't have companies those who do not have such big data. Now, based upon that, we selected few analytical softwares which we are using across the globe. Example: Hadoop, Spark, R, R+, SPSS, Minitab, IDEA, ACL, SAS, SAP GRC Suite, Oracle GRC, and TMS. TMS stands for Treasury Management System. Here you need both SAP as well as Oracle. These all will help you to interface with a huge amount of data. Example, if you have Hadoop, and take an example of a Facebook. Facebook claims that they have approximately 1.2 billion of users. 1.2 billion of users. And assuming, did you ever thought that if you are meeting me, Rahul Magan, and next day on the Facebook itself, you would get a link in your suggestive friend that to add Rahul Magan. Did you ever thought about that? How come you will get that? You are getting it via basically artificial intelligence. And if we need to do for 1.2 billion, can we use some software which is able to pick up the data? No. We need extremely high class software, which is Spark, which is Hadoop, which is R. Of course, R+, and SAS, they are coding based. Oracle too. SAP, Minitab, SPSS, Hadoop. Hadoop is also coding based. So this is how it is. And then there is an analytical team which is sitting at the back end of the server. They are comparing the production data with the analytical data, and they are going to calculate the red flagging. Because we need to appreciate that as the companies go big, it's very much important for companies to understand that there is a probability of a red flagging in the system, and that couldn't be done unless you have the analytical softwares in place. This is about the purpose of this video, whereby we have introduced you that because yesterday we introduced about the GRC concept of SAP, and this we have introduced you about the basically analytics concept of SAP. Of course, as the companies go big, we are heavily dependent upon Hadoop and Spark. But as the company are limited in nature, we have SPSS, Minitab, IDEA, ACL, such kind of things would work. Treasury Consulting LLP is having the capability, or it's having a wonderful capability of analytics. We are implementing SAP at a lot of places. We are currently doing a lot of IT implementation works in different part of the globe. In case you have any such requirement, do contact us. www.treasuryconsulting.in. This is our website. My mobile is 9899242978. Skype ID is Rahul5327. Email is rahul.magan@treasuryconsulting.in. We continue to produce a lot of new videos, and we are very happy to share that our fixed income platform is on the way. With the opening of fixed income platform, with the immediate launch of fixed income platform, our KPO would also be on the way. KPO stands for Knowledge Processing Outsourcing, and by January 2018 we would have our LPO also on the way. LPO stands for Legal Processing Outsourcing. Thank you very much and have a wonderful time ahead.